Hi guys and welcome to Bomb Anime.
It's your girl Rika.
And Big Boy Sam here bringing you our movie special, Bubble.
So everyone knows I've been looking forward to Bubble. I was looking forward to it and didn't get quite what I expected, but it was still really amazing. The soundtrack is really nice and it fills the scenes with a lot of anticipation and the feeling of magic, which I really liked, like the bell sounds that they use a lot, the variations of the theme song as well, added to like the atmosphere of it. And I actually really like when songs are used this way, where they have a song and they use different variations of it to create a totally different mood.
Yeah, I thought that they ripped off Peppa Pig's theme tune because, like, you know, it kind of sounded similar. I'm sure Ruka's going to put a clip of Peppa Pig's theme tune.
No, we're not going to ruin the song.
I think you really should. But still, even if you don't, you can hear it now, innit? You can hear it, innit?
You're the worst.
So, but in saying that, oh my gosh, wow, the way that they used it to like elevate every single scene it was in. Yeah, Ruka said it gave you the sound of magic. To me, I don't know, if certain songs hit right, you just feel it in your core and they hit right.
Yeah.
And I felt it the whole way through. And I have to admit, well done guys. Wit Studios, Warner Brothers, everyone that was involved. You guys created a banger here. This movie, please take some time out of your day and watch it. It is an actual flipping masterpiece. Seriously, the scenes were beautiful. The animation was beautiful. The soundtrack was beautiful. The story took a take that I didn't expect a normal story to take. And yes, they did use a lot of Little Mermaid, but they used it in the correct way. Oh my gosh. Seriously, guys, Bubble. Put it on your watch list and get to watching it.
The color grading was phenomenal. Seriously, all of the colors are so vivid and it really brings everything to life. Also, like you were saying, they were doing a retelling of The Little Mermaid and it was so fantastic. It was better than Disney's version. Disney needs to take a seat because Warner Brothers, Witch Studio, Cloverworks, all the people involved with this really smashed the shit out of it.
I've got a few questions and I'm sure that even after you watch it, you're going to have a few questions too. Because this was not a movie to tell you the whole background story. It was a movie to show you the snippets of aspects from Hibiki, Usagi, the rest of the Blue Blazers, and obviously Yuta's point of view. And the impending doom and destruction of what was going through. And the themes of birth and rebirth, destruction and creation and whatever that was going through the whole show. All brought into life and all being visually seen through Fibonacci and vortexes. Wow.
Yeah.
I was geeking out the whole way through. For those who don't know, Fibonacci is basically, it's similar to pi in the sense that it's a weird number, but it goes within spirals and it's very intriguing when you get down to the mathematics of it. And I'm not going to bore you with Fibonacci. Everyone's got Google, but I'm just saying, mwah.
Yes, I completely agree. There were so many different types of rebirth as well. There was the rebirth of Tokyo City and the destruction of it, which actually occurred multiple times. They were talking about people being able to see these ghosts, and near the end we actually saw that it's not necessarily ghosts, but it was the bubbles in the fragments of individuals that were there at the moment of that big bang, I guess.
Well done, Ruka, well done.
And then, of course, you had Hibiki, who had some kind of issue. It did seem at the beginning that he was on the spectrum, but when we saw him having test after test after test, it made me feel as if it was never resolved, as if he had similar symptoms to someone that was on the spectrum, but he wasn't actually on it.
Yeah.
And I think that was somehow directly involved with the bubbles, even though his issues came before the bubbles came about. It still seemed like it was in a circular loop in some kind of way. Then you had the rebirth of Yuta, from her bubble form to turning into a human to turning back into foam or turning back into a bubble. It was just so much. It was a lot. It was amazing, to be honest, the way that they put this together.
So I want to talk about what you just said about the whole fact that it seemed that Hibiki had some auditory sort of spectrum thing. However, it didn't seem like he had it at the same time.
Yeah.
Look, I kind of, this is my theory about it. I think he had a harmonic resonance with the universe. Because the fact that he was drawn to an explosion that was happening right in front of his face, where you can see the stark contrast of him looking serene and everyone looking in horror at what was going on. I feel like if that was the case where he was having the harmonic resonance, it would explain why Yuta was so drawn to him, because Yuta wasn't just any normal bubble. All these other bubbles were there following her big sister, the leader. Do you get what I mean? But she's the only one who went against her big sister. She's the only one who was strong enough, and she was the only one who could dissipate the anger and the animosity and the negativity of it. She created, let's say, the light that calmed the darkness in that sense. So it would make no sense to me for her to be drawn to Hibiki, because it made all the sense in the world for Hibiki to be drawn to the bubbles. In general, anyone seeing some phenomenon will be drawn to it, but why would the phenomenon be drawn to you? She was always there when he was about to get into some trouble, and she was always there to save his backside. So I feel like he had a harmonic resonance with the universe, and if they do some extra fan stories or movies or little shoot-offs, we will probably get to see why Hibiki is so special.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I do kind of agree with you, but not fully. Yes, it just seemed like he did have some kind of harmonic resonance. Even the fact that he didn't need his headphones when he was out in the wild. It's not silent in the woods. There's animals and there's sounds, there's trees rustling, but he didn't need it for that, but he needed it for traffic sounds like beeping, those types of sounds that aren't actually natural. But in terms of with her being drawn to him, I just think that was a larger part of the love story that was going on throughout the entire anime. It was a really sweet love story. I thought it was really nice, and adding the Little Mermaid segments just added to the whole overall feeling of it, which was amazing.
I hear what you're saying, but like there was 7 billion people on the planet, but she's drawn to him. I'm just trying to find out why the bubble side was interested in the human side. The other way around makes sense. I don't know. And also, what was the purpose of the bubbles in the first place? What were they here to do? To destroy the planet? They could have done that, but they didn't. They only took over Tokyo. Why? Like, so many questions. I really want the answers, but I'm not going to. And I think that's part of the charm of it as well. Like, it's beautiful. And you're saying that the love story was kind of cutesy, whatever. Okay, it was at times. At other times, I thought they were going a little bit too in. But, you know, that's just me personally.
I thought it was a really lovely story. It was really nicely told. As far as the bubbles, it seemed as if it was a natural phenomenon that was occurring, the way that we're talking about our world destroying itself and rebuilding itself. However, it was never going to destroy anything. If you actually look at the bubbles, they were pretty harmless. It only turned into an explosion when Yuta separated herself from the rest of the bubbles. That was when we had our first incident where everything exploded. It seemed as if that wouldn't have happened. Yuta went back with them and the bubbles all settled down. Yes, it encased Tokyo, but I think that might have been because that was ground zero. That was the point where Yuta pulled herself away from the rest of the group, the hive, if you will.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So then she went back to them, and then when he was in trouble, she separated herself again, and all of the disruptions started happening wildly again. So again, I think that's directly influenced to their love story. I think that the bubbles would have just dissipated the way that we saw it at the end, where most of the bubbles had actually dissipated. We didn't see many of them, and they were rebuilding Tokyo. They were able to rebuild it, whereas we saw none of that before. It was covered in vegetation, so you know that the buildings were still for an extremely long time. So now that she went back into the fold, they started to disappear.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So I don't think there would have been anything bad had they not made their connection with each other.
So basically it's Yuta's fault, along with Hibiki, that Tokyo got a little bit messed up.
Yeah. I also liked the theme of the teamwork. At the beginning, Hibiki is really not full of himself, but he's just so much better than everybody else. He can do everything that no one else can do. And on top of that, he really wants to be isolated and alone, and being next to people gives him a lot of trouble with his auditory symptoms that he experiences. So really, he doesn't want to be around people. But after Yuta comes, he starts to appreciate his team more. He also doesn't need the headphones anymore. It seems as if the sounds don't bother him as much. And he's able to connect with his team in a different way. And at the end, his entire team risked their lives, down to the youngest member of their team, all risked their lives just so that he could go save this bubble girl, which was so nice. He thanked his team members, and you could just see that they came together for the first time.
I mean, the room went silent when he said thank you. Everyone
I know.
was like, wait.
It was a great moment.
Who the hell are you? What happened to you? Like, it was pretty cool. Speaking of that, side note, so Uzagi is called Uzagi and he looks like Naruto Uzumaki. I'm just saying, just throwing it out there. Well done.
One thing that I was kind of confused about was the fact that this city is abandoned, but it seemed as if they got funding somehow. They were being sent rations that could feed everyone, and the people that were playing the game also were getting rations, things like oil and food, items that they would need. However, most of the citizens are illegally there, and it's not like there's any form of trade in this bubble. So it just seemed weird that they were getting funded. They were betting, so they had some form of money, and we saw one of the people there throw, like, it looked like money in the air. Oh, maybe it was like betting slips.
I thought it was betting slips, personally.
So I guess they could be betting like food, but like, how are they getting it in the first place? They're not contributing to the economy for them to be getting money. It just seemed really odd. I thought maybe they were broadcasting it worldwide and they were taking wider bets, and so they would get sent provisions.
I believe that was happening, but not with everyone or everything. I thought it was the scientists that had been sent into the area to look at the phenomenon, getting this funding and giving it to the people as well. That kind of thing. So it could be both. Yeah. It could be all of it, or it could be none of it, and it could be something else entirely. But that's what I thought it was. Because at the end of the day, the parkour runners are experiencing the anti-gravity magic that's going on in the area, and they want to be studied. And so in order to incentivize them being used as research guinea pigs, that's where the funding was coming from.
That makes sense. One thing that I really liked, that I felt added to the entire atmosphere of this, was the fact that the breathing sounds that the bubbles were making, it made it sound like the heartbeat of the movie. And I thought that was so spectacular. All of the different feelings did really, like you were saying, resonated with the soul. Like, you could feel everything, because the visuals, along with all of the sounds that were going on, really connects with you inside.
Yes.
Come on, guys, you know what I mean.
You know, there's a certain type of people that feel music, who feel sounds, who are quite visceral with emotion. And I feel like those types of people will kind of feel this movie more.
The parkour elements were really great as well. Just all of it was really great. The movements that they were all making just gave a really great feel.
The camera angles, bloody hell.
This is definitely a 5 out of 5 movie for me. I loved it.
Yeah, definitely a 5 out of 5 for me. I wish there's a part 2.
And on that note, thank you so much for joining us today.
Don't forget to like, subscribe and share.
Peace.